Good morning, all of you. I welcome you to the answer writing session. We are here to understand the art of answer writing. Yes, Mains 2026 because it's coming, but of course it remains relevant across the years. Fine. So the idea as far as answer writing is concerned, we think is first to think clearly and write effectively. Yes, when you are able to think clearly, plus you are able to write effectively, that is when you get those marks which you are looking for. Fine. First, let's look into this question, why we are here in this session, why learning the art of answer writing is quintessential for clearing UPSC. There is no doubt that we need to learn this art of answer writing. Yes, the answer writing skill as such is going to be valid at the second level of the exam, which is the mains. Yes, prelims you have MCQs and interview is an oral examination. Fine. However, if we are to clear UPSC, we cannot escape but to know how to write good answers. Why? Because while prelims is a searching filter, it filters out, the aim of prelims is to filter out those candidates who are serious enough or who have studied enough. Mains is where the primary knowledge evaluation, or to an extent even personality evaluation. I'll talk how mains evaluates your personality. And these are the primary marks that you carry forward. Yes, and then comes the interview stage, which is primarily about personality evaluation. The knowledge has already been checked at the previous two stages. Now when it comes to mains, the aim is to check your knowledge and check your personality to an extent. Yes, how do we check your knowledge? Knowledge is checked by the answers that you write. Yes, mains comprises of 4 GS papers. Yes, 1 optional paper, which, one optional subject but 2 papers. Then you have your essay paper. These are the 7 papers that are evaluated and counted. The marks are counted as far as the mains examination is concerned. Apart from it, you have 1 English language paper, 1 regional language paper, which happens to be the qualifying papers. So we are not delving into that. We are concerned about these 7 papers, which is going to give us marks. And today's session will be more related to, I would say, GS paper 1, 2 and 3. The questions that we are going to maybe pick up there. GS 4, I'm not directly venturing into. And though we are going to be focusing on GS paper 1, 2 and 3, but the skill set remains the same. Be it your GS, be it your optional, or even be it your essay paper for that matter. The skill set does not change. Maybe just the requirement of the answer might vary from the paper to paper, subject to subject. Fine. Now, how does it check your knowledge? Because across these 7 papers, you have questions that you have to answer. As far as GS paper is concerned, each GS paper comprises 20 questions. 10 questions of 10 markers and 10 questions of 15 markers. So totally the paper comes about to 250 marks. So basically in those 3 hours, you have to attempt 20 questions. Yes, so when you are writing the answers, your knowledge is getting checked. And across the topics, your knowledge is checked. Fine. How is your personality evaluated through this mains examination? First, now they have included papers like ethics, which ask you to look into ethical dilemmas and delve into the ethical questions and thereby evaluate your personality. Second is the essay paper. Yes, when you are writing an essay for maybe 100, 1000, 1200 words, 1500 words on one particular topic, you cannot escape but in the process somewhere express your personality in terms of maybe are you able to think coherently. Yes, are you able to think from various perspectives? Are you able to interrelate issues? Are you able to bring out dilemmas, understand the ironies? Yes, uh, and jot it down, effectively jot it down in your essay paper. Also, the personality is evaluated by the sheer fact that you have to attempt 20 questions in 3 hours. And in fact, in a single day, you have to attempt 40 questions in 6 hours. So, when one question you are unable to attempt, does it break your nerve? Or you are, even if 1 or 2 questions you find difficult, but you are a person with a steady mind, and are you able to move forward to the third question which you might know, or the fourth question you might know, and write one of your good answers there. Or just the fact that first 2-3 questions were difficult, and now your mindset, you have lost that mindset of writing coherent answers. So it is checking the knowledge as well, to a certain extent, your personality. Yes, even when we are writing the answers, ability to coherently organize our answers, logically think, logically understand what is exactly that the examiner is asking within that short period of 3 hours, is effectively also testing your personality to a certain extent. Fine. Now, why learning this art of answer writing is quintessential? Because the examiner does not know you personally. Yes, he gets to know you only through your answer scripts. So you might have collected a lot of knowledge during your preparation and otherwise, but if you are not able to effectively put it down on paper in the limited time period and probably attempt all the 20 questions, you are going to miss the race. Fine. So it is very, very essential that we learn, in fact, we try and master this art of answer writing. And what is the way to learn this art? There is no other way but to practice. Yes, there is, I can talk for 3 hours and go back home. You can sit here and listen to me. Maybe we can come for 5 sessions and you can every day come and listen to me. But till the time you put your pen to paper, yes, till the time you practice, there is no way you can learn this skill. Every skill is learnt through practice, and answer writing skill is no different, so we have to practice. But before we get into practicing, yes, it is important that we understand what is the demand, how to go about. We should have some broad framework. Simply starting to write anything and everything would not help. We need to know what to write and what not to write. Yes, as part of your UPSC journey, you must have heard that it is important to know what to study, but it is more important, if not equally important, to know what not to study. Yes, everything and anything you cannot study. Yes, so similarly, first let us, before we understand how to go about writing the answers, let us understand what are the few myths around answer writing. The first and the foremost myth that you might have experienced your own self is that I am not well prepared. And mind me when I tell you, you will not be prepared on the day of the examination as well. On that day also you will feel just one more day if I had, just 2 more days, or maybe just 1 week had I had, I would have excelled in this exam, I would have completed my syllabus, I would have practiced maybe a few answer scripts. That day never comes, because that is the nature of UPSC. Yes, it is not your university exam, it is not your school exam where you have limited syllabus, you have few recommended books, and from those books and those chapters only the questions are asked. There are always, it is current affairs oriented. Yes, look at the papers. GS paper 1, static to a certain extent, but then very open-ended questions in maybe the topic of society. Even geography these days, they are not asking about the watershed and about the Himalayas and the northern plains. They are delving into interdisciplinary questions. Look at GS paper 2, polity, governance, IR, social justice. Everything is dynamic. Polity is dynamic, IR is dynamic. Governance में schemes वगैरह keep changing. Then third paper, economics, disaster management, yes, security, once again, dynamic papers. Yes, so there is never that you are going to finish with the preparation. Yes, and it does not really, it does not matter if I'll be able to write a good answer. If supposedly all 5 of you have read that book, Modern Indian History, that small book, that comes. So if all 5 of you supposedly have read it once, revised it once, and then you 5 sit to write this exam. Yes, I have given 10 questions on modern Indian history to you now. Will you all be writing the same answers or at the same level? Will you be securing the same marks? So no, it is not dependent so much on preparation, but about the art of answer writing skill. You should have a neck. Yes, in the exam also, all the 20 questions that will come, you will not know all the 20 questions, mind you. If you have studied really well, you might know 12 questions or 14 questions, which is like if you have studied really well. Otherwise, there would be 8 questions, 10 questions where you have vague idea, and 3 questions, 4 questions where you have no idea at all. Yes, there would be such questions where you have absolutely no idea. But even there, you have to be able to write a coherent answer and do not seem to the examiner as if you are bluffing. Yes, how do you go about it? By having learnt this art of answer writing. Fine. So this idea that I am not well prepared, this will never happen. You will never be well prepared. You have to start today. Yes. Second myth, let me first finish the classes and then I will start answer writing. I am overwhelmed with my classes. Let me first finish the classes. Let me first finish the syllabus. Ma'am just said the questions are interdisciplinary. So maybe just studying geography is not sufficient. I have to complete along with it maybe society. I have to complete maybe some polity parts and some IR parts before I can write an answer to a question. So let me first fully complete my syllabus, get over with my classes, then I will start answer writing. Mind you, that day will not come. And the point is, start answer writing today. Yes, I understand you cannot start answer writing with zero knowledge. Yes, so you have to have some knowledge. So basically, when a few classes have been conducted, as part of Vision, what I know, we give assignment questions after the classes. So maybe after 2-3 classes, they start giving very simple assignment question. The assignment questions are not questions which are similar to what is going to be asked in the examination. It is simply about you developing this art of answer writing. Yes, so the point is that we need to start practicing. Fine. Now, having said that we need to start writing answers today. Now, let us understand how do you go about answer writing. How do we start? What is the requirement? First, the sequential steps in answer writing. First, you read the question and you understand the question. Yes, let me tell you here once again that the mistakes most students make while answer writing is in the very first step. They will not completely read the question, they will not understand the demand of the question, and they will start writing the answer just looking at the question. If they see a familiar word, they will pick it up and they'll start writing the answer. Yes, so first and foremost, we have to read the question clearly and understand its demand. Next, you have to underline the keywords. This is very, very essential. Yes, maybe when you reach the examination state, maybe for vis-a-vis all questions that would not be necessary. But I'll not be able to show the topper script that way, but I can show you. There is this topper this year, Xenia Arora. Yes, she has secured 6th rank and last year she had secured 156th rank. So you find she was our student in some program. So we have her answer script. She attempted the Abhyas papers. So just towards the end of the exam, but there are few questions where she is still underlining the question. Yes, because at times the questions, and it might just be difficult to register. So you need to underline to understand what is the key demand of the question. So this is very, very important. Underline the keywords. Underlining the keywords is important for 2-3 reasons. First, you understand what the question is asking. You do not miss because you are in a hurry. So it gives you those 30 seconds to ground yourself vis-a-vis the question. Second, when you underline the keywords, at times there are nuances within the question. We'll see. For example, let me just give you this example which I was discussing in an IR class just yesterday. So there was this class and we were talking about India-Bangladesh relation, and we were talking about previously we were in the golden chapter of bilateral ties, and now what has happened that suddenly the golden chapter came to an end. Yes, now the students wrote why the golden chapter has come to an end. So one of the point, yes, student protest happened, ouster of Sheikh Hasina happened. Then they have said role of religion has increased, there is attack on minorities, there is a pro-Pakistani inclination, all those points, pro-China inclinations, all those points. But what was the question saying? Did it ask, discuss the reasons for a decline in the bilateral ties with Bangladesh? It said, what is the factor that led to a sudden change? The key word was sudden. If you pay attention to this word sudden, you will understand what it relates to is ouster of Sheikh Hasina. You did not write all the points. You understand my point? So when you have such keywords, otherwise what happens? When you do not underline, you happen to miss this keyword which is sudden. Yes? So we will see such other examples also. You will have to underline the keyword so that you do not miss out any key idea that the examiner himself is telling you. For example, there was a question in UPSC which said in 2022 in IR section it said that I2U2, a regional grouping was formed of India, US, Israel and UAE. So they said that this grouping which has been formed, how it has led to transformation of India's foreign policy in West Asia. But what did students write? I2U2, how it has impacted our foreign policy vis-a-vis West Asia. But the keyword kya tha? Transformation. So transformation, you have to tell what was our policy previously and now what has come to be because of I2U2. Yes, so such keywords we need to be mindful. Fine. Rethinking of our foreign policy. So what was our foreign policy previously? Maybe in a sentence or two you explain and then talk about the need for rethinking and what it should be. Fine. And third reason why you should underline the keywords as of when we are starting with this preparation or when we are starting with answer writing practice is also to structure. When we underline the keywords, there itself we can write point number 1, point number 2. So first part of my answer is going to be this, second part of my answer is going to be this, third part is going to be this, and fourth part is going to be this. Yes, so keywords really, underlining the keywords helps us. Then understand the directive in the question. Very, very, very important. Yes, some questions say comment, some questions say critically examine, some questions say elucidate. Some questions say discuss, some questions say justify. So we need to understand broadly. We need not get into nitty-gritties, but we should broadly understand what is the demand of the question there, what the examiner wants. If somebody says elucidate, elucidate means just maybe list down the facts and highlight the facts. Yes, but if somebody says justify, the more focus is on proving the statement that is given. Examine or critically examine. Pros, cons, and a balanced conclusion maybe. Yes, or whatever, wherever the conclusion takes you. Yes, so that is what. We need to understand the directive. Having done that, having done all these three exercises, then you get into structuring the answer in terms of the various heads of discussion. Yes, so if a question comes, how? We will see all this. We will go through this exercise now. Yes, how to structure the answer. What would be my first part, second part, third part? Yes, Then now write the answer in terms of introduction, body and conclusion. Now once you have structured it in your mind, or once you have structured it on the paper, you will now start writing the answer. Yes, and when we are learning this process, when we are in this process of self-evaluation, we are in the process of learning the art of answer writing. Once we have written the answer, immediately after that, maybe we need to read the answer and see what we have written. Or maybe if I have attempted 4 questions in the evening, getting up in the morning, I will go through my questions and I will self-evaluate. Yes, so that I can itself, and I have written this answer, but I can only see there are so many problems, and then I can write a better answer. And so we need not stop at the first iteration. We can always come out with better answers. 2-3 answers on the same question, no problem. Yes, fine. Refine the answer as is required and apply the learning in your next questions. Yes, so this is the broad set of steps that you need to follow. Yes, at least till point number 5 that you are going to follow in the exam. Of course, when we are starting to write answers, it will be relatively a slow process, but in the exam this will happen automatically because you have trained your mind that way. That is the endeavor, that we train our mind, that it starts thinking in this very way. So let's apply these pointers. First, read the question clearly and understand its demand. Yes, underline the keywords so that you do not miss a nuance. Fine, I have just given you this example. Yes. How will I2U2 transform India's position in global politics? Yes. And so, while reading only, as a matter of habit, you tend to underline. Yes, how will I2U2? Fine, so I will think, okay, there is this organization called I2U2. If I know when was it formed, what was the context of its formation, it comes to my mind. Yes, transform. The key word here is, as I was telling you, the key word here is transform. It does not say impact. If it were saying impact, I would directly write what is its impact. Yes, maybe a more proactive role that India is going to play in West Asia. Maybe because of it, India will become a middle power. Maybe because of it, we are going to cooperate with countries like Israel, US and UAE in West Asia and in global politics maybe. Yes, so I could just simply write that. But if now the question is saying transform, I have to tell previously what it was. So previously we were not an active player in West Asia. Previously India was only concerned about sourcing oil and safety of its diaspora. But now with this organization, India is going to play a strategic role in West Asia. The question is in global politics. But global politics I can, for my answer I can make it maybe 2 heads, regional as well as, and therefore larger impact on global politics. Yes, global politics ka if I were to give example, generally speaking, India did not have diplomatic ties with Israel until 1992. But now we seem to be entering into a quadrilateral grouping, a strategic quadrilateral. It shows the deepening of our ties with Israel. Similarly, UAE के साथ भी हमारा strategic ties नहीं थे. UAE and Saudi Arabia were 2 countries which would take side of Pakistan whenever any conflict would take place, on Kashmir issue. So our strategic ties with UAE are very new. It is only in 2015 that we signed a strategic partnership agreement with UAE. Yes, vis-a-vis US also. Previously for the first 50 years we were estranged democracies, and now you see deepening of ties so much to the extent that we are cooperating in regions like Indo-Pacific and West Asia. Yes, and iska global politics pe kya impact hai? Yahi ki India's rise as a middle power, India becoming more assertive, in global politics, India trying to counterbalance China across regions, India's strengthening of credential as a balancing power or a swing state. So that is how. है ना. तो you will have to transform word is the key. That is the point. Fine. Next is understand the directive that is given in the question. Yes. So what are the some prominent directives? We need not get into detail of each word, just broad idea. So if there are directives like examine, yes, like examine, examine and analyze, evaluate, assess, critically examine, critically analyze, critically evaluate. All this, what it tells us, to investigate the issue in detail and evaluate its merits and demerits. Yes. So in कुछ भी ये लिखा हो examine, analyze, हम इसमें achievements and challenges, pros and cons, merits and demerits, है ना, यही बताएंगे. Yes. And generally when there is this word critically examine, critically analyze, when it is preceded with this word critically, see, you just be mindful, you just do not need to write challenges. You have to write both challenges as well as achievements, merits as well as demerits. But of course, the answer is more tilted towards demerits, towards challenges. So it will not be per se equal weightage. It is not going to be 5 points of merits and 5 points of demerits. Maybe 2 points, 3 points of merits and 5 points of demerits. So my focus is more towards the challenge part. And if the question says critically examine India's foreign policy in West Asia, for example, what we have seen, तो उसके बाद मैं आंसर क्या लिखूंगी? Will I stop at critical examining? When I have talked about challenges, I will give way forward as well. Fine. The next is this directive called discuss. So it is discursive answer. You describe what it is. Yes, you describe the idea, but in UPSC. Achha, one thing that let me tell you, as far as UPSC exam is concerned, what gets you marks in the exam? What is UPSC looking for? Or what differentiates UPSC from, say, state PSCs? It is analysis. And you would have, if you have not seen, or if, I don't know if you have experienced it or not, but state level PSC exam is more factual, generally speaking, yes. And it is UPSC which is analytical, conceptual clarity and all such things are emphasized. Yes, तो हमारे आंसर में discussion बोला है. I am going to discuss only, but I will not stop at discussion, because I understand what is the requirement of this exam. So I will still try and evaluate. I will bring in some merits, some demerits, some analysis, some interlinkage with topics, as is feasible. So analysis is going to be my key theme. Until and unless the question is a 10 marker and they say list down the points. Elucidate भी बोलेंगे तो भी there is some scope कि मैं थोड़ा सा हल्का सा कोई analysis ले आऊँ, है ना. List down the points बोला तो कोई analysis नहीं. और वहाँ पे भी अगर मैं लिख सकती हूँ conclusion में, if I can just say कि okay, हाँ, list down the points of India's foreign policy in West Asia, तो I have listed down, and towards the end I can conclude that yes, we have witnessed a transformation of India's West Asia policy, है ना, towards this. ठीक है, तो because my general understanding, my general awareness is that UPSC is looking for analytical answer. So until it is list down, है ना, jot down or whatever it is, until it is very precise that you simply write down the mere basic points, I will indulge in some evaluation, some analysis here and there. Right. Now next is comment. Now what is so specific about comment is that it wants your own opinion. The examiner wants your own opinion. Yes, the examiner is asking for your opinion. So I will evaluate comment before I arrive at my opinion. So I will have to pros and cons को evaluate करूँगी. उसके बाद ही मैं अपना opinion formulate कर सकती हूँ. लेकिन यहाँ पे भी also we have to be careful. Yes, because in every answer, see, if there is a general question, I might have an opinion. women empowerment, maybe I have an opinion. Yes, maybe migration of women from some issue regarding women, I might have some opinion, है ना? Female infanticide, maybe some opinion. But we are not in a position to have very clear-cut, firm opinions. So when even if they are saying comment या give your opinion, है ना? ऐसे सीधा भी पूछते हैं, give your opinion. I am basically, my opinion is formed by the opinion of the experts. And by the analysis, when the experts are doing analysis, and your teacher in the class or the notes you have prepared or your newspaper would be telling you that this is the idea. So I'm going to write that idea only, because students at times get confused and start writing, I am of the view that. And so we are not writing our answers in first person ever. And never in first person. Therefore, the conclusion, the apt conclusion seems. And that is how we can, one can see, probably female infanticide is happening for these reasons. Then justify and substantiate. So justify का मतलब क्या है? You prove a given statement. Similarly, substantiate. You have to prove a given statement. Elucidate, है ना? You highlight the points. But here also some clear, elaborate explanation, है ना? तो explanation जहाँ आ गया तो थोड़ा analysis का scope आ गया, है ना? And compare and contrast. So compare and contrast is simple. But generally, what is my idea that we need to keep in mind? Always there has to be some sort of analysis. और analysis आता कैसे है? I have told you that what is UPSC looking for is analysis. Now let us look into some thumb rules as to how this analysis is brought into the answer. Yes, analysis is brought into the answer through writing pros and cons, and achievements and challenges, merits and demerits. Fine, this is one way of bringing that analysis. What is the other way? The other way is comparison. So irrespective whether the question is asking you to compare or not, supposedly a question, Indian model of secularism. Highlight the features of Indian model of secularism. Yes, the question is simple, and the word is highlight. It seems as if no analysis, not much analysis is required. It is a 10-marker question. They have simply asked you to highlight, to identify the features of Indian secularism, Indian model of secularism. But can you limit your answer to just writing what is the features, what are the features of Indian model of secularism? You can never highlight it without effectively comparing it from the US model and the French model. Yes, and so there is need for comparison. How do I bring in analysis? Wherever there is scope. There is a question that has been asked on governor's position in the state polity. Very prominent, आता रहता है gubernatorial role, controversial gubernatorial role. Yes, governor's role, their question is. But will I limit myself to just discussing the governor's role? There is umpteen data there. There is no shortage of data. But if I can, may I compare his position to president in a sentence? है ना? कि president का क्या role है? He is the constitutional head, only gets discretionary, situational discretionary power है president के पास. लेकिन governor का role अलग है. He might be considered as the, है ना, the head of the state, of the province concerned. But he is also the, he is also representative of center at the state level. He not only has situational discretion, but he also has constitutional discretionary power. Constitutional provisions itself have clear-cutly given him discretionary power. Yes, so that is what, wherever there is scope of comparison, I will make that comparison. There is a question on India-Nepal hydropower cooperation. I cannot write an answer. If I am an examiner, I will never give you good marks till the time you bring in the Bhutan point. You might have written everything about, yes, India-Nepal Hydro Cooperation, what is potential remains unutilized, what are Nepal's concerns, what is India's point of view, what are the steps we are taking, in a comprehensive answer. But if you do not, in maybe a sentence, or maybe unlike Bhutan if you do not write. Because as soon as you bring comparison, it shows the examiner that you have comprehensive knowledge and you understand, है ना, the nuances. तो एक है ना, तो पहला तरीका जो जनरली हम जानते हैं वो ये है. दूसरा तरीका क्या है? कंपैरिजन, है ना. मेक इट अ पॉइंट कि जहाँ पे कंपैरिजन कर सको वहाँ करोगे, ठीक है. इवन इफ यू आर नॉट राइटिंग अ सेंटेंस, जस्ट राइट अनलाइक. मेक, है ना, दैट वन word extra, 2 word extra, you wherever you can. And third way is to bring out ironies and dilemmas. This again will highlight that you have broader understanding of the issue. If a question is about human rights violation, yes, you have written, yes, human rights get violated, but it is very important to preserve human rights. Human rights is bestowed on human beings by nature. All human beings, irrespective of caste, class, sex, and religion, all of us have nationality, all of us have human rights. So I have written all good things about human rights. But can you make, क्या है ना, अब irony क्या है या dilemma क्या है? Human rights is an idea based on universalism. And it is very much criticized by the multicultural perspective. आपने सुना होगा Asian values, है ना. Human rights is it is said, it is criticized as an endeavor to indirectly impose Western value system on rest of the world. So उनके लिए individualism, West के लिए है individualism, हमारे लिए तो society, community, that is quite important, है ना. तो that slight कि मैंने पूरा आंसर ह्यूमन राइट्स पे लिखा है, बट इफ आई कैन इन अ सेंटेंस व्हेन आई एम क्रिटिसाइजिंग ह्यूमन राइट्स, आई ब्रिंग आउट दिस डिलेमा ऑफ द मल्टीकल्चरल पर्सपेक्टिव देयर, है ना. तो इस तरह से इफ आई कैन ब्रिंग आउट, है ना, आयरनीज एंड डिलेमास. अनदर वेरी प्रोमिनेंट आयरनी, इफ आई कैन, ह्यूमन राइट्स पे है, हम ह्यूमन राइट्स मूवमेंट चलता है ना, देयर विल बी द सिविल सोसाइटी विल कम टुगेदर टू प्रोटेक्ट ह्यूमन राइट्स. लेकिन वहाँ पे एक डिलेमा ये है कि कई बार ह्यूमन राइट्स मूवमेंट हैव एक्चुअली नॉट टेकन द, व्हेन देयर वाज स्कोप, दे डिड नॉट एक्चुअली टेक द स्टेप, है ना, टू चेक द पावर्स ऑफ द स्टेट. तो इस तरह का डिलेमा वेयर आई कैन, है ना, पॉइंट आउट, आई विल पॉइंट आउट दोज डिलेमास एंड आयरनीज. फाइन. सो एनालिसिस कम्स थ्रू दिस. सो माय पॉइंट इज, I need to know the directive, I need to know basically what it means, but broadly I also need to understand what UPSC requires in the examination is analysis. So the more analysis I have, and appropriate, ऐसा नहीं सिर्फ यूं ही analysis डालते रहना है, question के specific if I have analysis, it will bear me better marks. Yes, that is the point I keep in mind. But I am also mindful of the time and the word limit and everything there. Fine. So let us practice this. Critically analyze India's evolving diplomatic, economic and critically analyze India's evolving diplomatic, economic and strategic relations with Central Asian republics, highlighting their increasing हाँ ये अच्छा, I could have just fine. Fine. The question is critically analyze India's evolving diplomatic, economic and strategic relations with Central Asian republics, highlighting their increasing significance in regional and global geopolitics. So it is a long question which was asked just for 10 marks. But the question is saying critically analyze. So there are two parts है ना, एक तो है critically analyze India's evolving diplomatic, economic and strategic relation, while with, and second is highlight their increasing significance in the region and global geopolitics. Fine. Let me get into, I am looking only at the directive as of now. So question is for me, हम first part पे ही focus करेंगे, critically analyze. So critically analyze India's evolving diplomatic, economic and strategic reason. What it would mean? हमें पहले India's evolving economic, strategic and diplomatic ties बताना है Central Asia के साथ. उसके बाद we have to critique it. We have to express the challenges. Yes. So yes, we have established diplomatic ties with सेंट्रल एशियन रिपब्लिक्स कब किया? 1991 में ही इंडिपेंडेंट हुए थे आफ्टर डिसइंटीग्रेशन ऑफ यूएसएसआर. तो उसके बाद हमने इनके साथ डिप्लोमेटिक टाइज एस्टैब्लिश कर लिया. इकोनॉमिक एंड स्ट्रैटेजिक, तो डिप्लोमेटिक टाइज में पर से कोई है ना डायरेक्ट क्रिटिकल एनालिसिस है नहीं, एक्सेप्ट वन दैट यू फाइंड दैट इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइजेशन हैज़ ऑलवेज, इंडियाज एंगेजमेंट विद दिस एंटायर रीजन इज है ना हैज़ बीन लैगिंग. तो अब तो हमने इंडिया सेंट्रल एशिया समिट कर लिया है, लेकिन उसके बाद भी है ना एवरी ऑल्टरनेटिव ईयर दिस समिट वाज टू बी हेल्ड, बट यू फाइंड दैट है ना देयर हैज़ बीन डिले, हमने रेगुलरली होल्ड नहीं किया है. दिस इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइजेशन कंटिन्यूज टू बी अ प्रॉब्लम डिस्पाइट है ना एलिवेटिंग द रिलेशंस टू द समिट लेवल. यस, एससीओ का देखो यही है, ये हमें बहुत ध्यान रखना है. सेंट्रल एशियन रिपब्लिक्स की जब बात हो, एससीओ इज नॉट अ रीजनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है ना. जैसे सार्क है, सार्क रीजनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, एशियान रीजनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है. तो अगर मुझे कोई साउथ ईस्ट एशिया पूछेगा तो मैं एशियान के साथ लिंक कर सकती हूँ, साउथ एशिया पूछेगा तो मैं सार्क के साथ लिंक कर सकती हूँ. बट व्हेन समबडी आस्क्स मी अबाउट सेंट्रल एशिया, until and unless it is very much directing us there, do not go into SCO, because SCO is not a regional organization. Despite 4 CARs being part of SCO, लेकिन एक CAR तो missing है और फिर बहुत दूसरी countries हैं. Yes, so therefore, and it is just 10 marker, already 2 parts are there, है ना. उसमें भी पहले critically analyze evolving, तो somewhere I have to maybe, if I can manage it. देखो यहाँ पे ये क्वेश्चन क्या है, 10 मार्कर है, तो आई कैन डायरेक्टली गो इनटू क्रिटिकल एनालिसिस. फर्स्ट आई हाईलाइट देयर रोल एंड देन व्हाइल आई एम साथ साथ करूँगी मैं, आई विल टेल द डिप्लोमेटिक अचीवमेंट एंड क्रिटिकली एनालाइज द इकोनॉमिक अगर अचीवमेंट कुछ है एंड क्रिटिकली एनालाइज, एंड स्ट्रैटेजिक अचीवमेंट अगर कुछ है एंड क्रिटिकली एनालाइज. हाँ एग्जैक्टली. अब ये सवाल है ना, व्हाट इज ही आस्किंग? He is saying that ma'am should we, the question is sequenced, जो एग्जाम ने क्वेश्चन दिया है, they first ask critically analyze, second part is saying highlight है ना, highlighting increasing significance in regional and global geopolitics. So should we, what should be my structuring? Should I first answer part 1 and then go to part 2, or should I answer part 2 first? है ना. तो इसका जवाब क्या है, पहले part 2 आंसर कर दो, क्योंकि लॉजिकली क्या फॉलो करेगा, हाईलाइटिंग देयर इंक्रीजिंग सिग्निफिकेंस है ना. सो फर्स्ट यू टॉक अबाउट द सिग्निफिकेंस एंड देन यू क्रिटिकली एनालाइज. फर्स्ट यू हाईलाइट द सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ सेंट्रल एशियन रिपब्लिक्स. यस, हाईलाइटिंग देयर रीजनल एज वेल एज ग्लोबल जियोपॉलिटिक्स में क्या सिग्निफिकेंस है, देन है ना फर्स्ट दैट इज हाउ वी थिंक है ना, कि व्हाट इज फर्स्ट वी नीड टू एसर्टेन व्हाट इज द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ दिस रीजन in the global and regional geopolitics, and then we will get into evaluating or critically analyzing India's evolving diplomatic, economic and strategic relations. So that is what है ना, logically you have to look into. But ऐसे question rare होते हैं. Generally the sequence that is mentioned in the question is what we follow. But here this is a rare example where है ना, they are asking us the significance, है ना, highlight the significance and then we will go for critical analysis. चलो good, you have identified that. Now structure the answer, है ना, उसके बाद fourth step क्या था? After I have understood this directive of critical analysis, so I will be pointing out challenges and more challenges पे ज़्यादा ध्यान दे रहे हैं, है ना, ऐसा नहीं है लेकिन merit point out नहीं करना है, but challenges पे ज़्यादा ध्यान है. Now structure the answer in terms of the various heads of discussion that you will cover. So let us take this question itself once again. And critically analyze India's evolving diplomatic and strategic relations with the CARs, highlighting their increasing significance in regional and global geopolitics. You can take a minute and maybe come out with the structure. Do you have pen and paper with you? If you have, you can just come out with a structure. I don't want any points, just broad heads under which you will discuss. उसके लिए आपके पास कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन की भी ज़रूरत नहीं है, क्वेश्चन के हिसाब से स्ट्रक्चर बना दो. Yes, are you done with it? Yes, how will you go about? What will be the structure that you will follow? Yes. इंट्रोडक्शन में क्या बोलोगे? सेंट्रल एशियन रिपब्लिक्स पे एक लाइन लिख दोगे. यस, सेंट्रल एशियन रिपब्लिक्स आर दी न्यूली इंडिपेंडेंट रिपब्लिक्स, अगर लिख सके, है ना, जनरल बात कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे अभी. created post disintegration of USSR in 1991. It comprises these 5 countries. Yes, then critically फिर क्या करोगे? फिर है ना, you will talk about its regional and global significance. Third, देखो 10 नंबर का सवाल है ना. ही सेइंग कि कैन वी पुट दैट पॉइंट कि व्हाई इट इज इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर इंडिया. You can put that point, no problem, but if you have that point, I would rather say use it in introduction. Why important for India? है ना, maybe this region, though है ना, it comprises newly independent countries, but it is vital for whatever, है ना. नहीं तो अगर ये नहीं पूछा होता regional and global significance, I would actually, a better start would have been probably I just highlight the significance in one word, in one sentence. If I can highlight the significance of Central Asia, what is that significance? है ना, context दे देते हैं हम कि ये significance है, इस वजह से हमारी ये foreign policy है, but ये इसमें ये दिक्कतें हैं, है ना, तो that becomes effective. फिर हाँ, critically analyze, है ना, इंडियाज इवॉल्विंग, है ना, डिप्लोमेटिक, इसमें एक की है वर्ड जो हम ध्यान दे सकते हैं, इवॉल्विंग. यस, इवॉल्विंग डिप्लोमेटिक, इकोनॉमिक एंड स्ट्रैटेजिक रिलेशंस. सो क्रिटिकली एनालाइज में मैं क्या करूँगी साथ साथ में, बिकॉज इट इज़ अ 10 मार्कर. हैड इट बीन अ 15 मार्कर आई वुड हैव सेड अचीवमेंट्स. and then gone into critical analysis. Fine. So this is my broad structure, and उसके बाद conclusion, conclude करना है. Conclusion में क्या करोगे? Exactly. कंक्लूजन में क्या करोगे, है ना? जनरली कंक्लूजन क्या होता है? आप एक जनरल कंक्लूजन देते हो कि यस, once again you would have said that this region continues to be very important for India. But यहाँ पे since it is a 10 marker, there is no direct scope of way forward because I have to just write 150 words. Yes, so I'll conclude with way forward. Yes, so similarly there might be questions where, है ना, the question is demanding only achievements. And it is a 10 marker question, you have no scope to mention challenges. You have just said good things, and there were two parts, you have already just said good things. So conclusion, it is a very important, yeah, we have major achievement, but the shortcomings are follows, and therefore the necessary remedial measures should follow. Yes, fine. So this is going to be my structure, and logically I have given the regional and global importance first. Now regional and global importance, depending on how I can frame, I can first discuss regional importance, then go into global importance. है ना, बस heads देने हैं, pointers 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 लिखने हैं, कोई full sentences लिखने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, है ना? In GS you just write pointers, but write comprehensive answer, that is the requirement. Fine. So a broad approach I have also pointed out. What do you mean by CARs? है ना, and give a brief introduction, their regional global importance, India's evolving diplomatic, economic, strategic relations, and critically analyze the same. Now, once you have come out with a broad structure, you need to be analyzing or writing the answer in terms of introduction, body, and conclusion. So, what is the purpose of introduction? Generally speaking, ठीक है, generally speaking, introduction helps the examiner understand the scope of your answer. उसमें उसी में पता चल जाता है कि आंसर का क्या टोन रहेगा कई बार, ठीक है. ये पर्टिकुलरली ऐसे में रेलेवेंट होता है क्योंकि हम ऐसे में क्या करते हैं, बहुत सारा अलग अलग तरीके से इंट्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं, एंड टुवर्ड्स द एंड वी विल टेल द एग्जामिनर द स्कोप, है ना. या हम स्टार्टिंग में ही कई बार हम स्टोरी बनाते हैं उसमें, तो through that story the examiner understands what is going to follow in your essay, what is your stand going to be. Yes, then body is the main context, content and crux of the answer, and conclusion offers actionable recommendations or summarizes your viewpoint. Yes. Acha, there is, so I have the PPT on it, we'll discuss it there. Now as far as the introduction is concerned, see, a general idea vis-a-vis introduction is, we think introduction to be very important. You will find yourself also, and maybe you would have seen your friends who say, ma'am, we get stuck in the introduction itself. How to write that introduction, we are not, है ना, इंट्रोडक्शन से आगे ही नहीं बढ़ पाते, इंट्रोडक्शन में ही फंसे रहते हैं कि 5 मिनट तो हम सोचते रह जाते हैं कि इंट्रोडक्शन में क्या लिखना है. फर्स्ट देखो, आज के दिन अब ये 10 नंबर एंड 15 नंबर के सवाल आने लग गए हैं, तो वी निड नॉट स्पेंड सो मच, वी निड नॉट. प्रीवियसली वंस अपॉन अ टाइम देयर यूज्ड टू बी 60 मार्कर्स, है ना, तो वहाँ पे आप समय लगाते थे, या 30 मार्कर्स में, तो इट वाज अंडरस्टूड. बट नाउ इट इज़ जस्ट 10-15 मार्कर्स, गेट स्ट्रेट टू द पॉइंट, है ना. यू शुड, विथ प्रैक्टिस यू विल बी एबल टू, है ना, सी हाउ टू गो अबाउट राइटिंग द इंट्रोडक्शन, है ना. एंड सम पीपल थिंक why they spend so much time, because they think the introduction is very 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 important. Let me break this myth. For 10 and 15 marker questions, introduction is important, as is all introduction, but it is not very important. It is the body which is very important. The body is going to draw your marks, not the introduction. The body and the structuring, if you write comprehensive answer, and if you have structured your answer logically, that is what is going to get you marks, not the introduction per se. ठीक है. But having said that, how do you introduce? Yes, introduction के बहुत अलग अलग तरीके हैं, है ना. There is not necessarily one way to introduce. Generally school university level पे we are more acquainted with definition, है ना, हम define करते हैं. Official definition भी नहीं तो अपने words में define करते हैं. But ये ज़रूरी नहीं है हमारा introduction हमेशा हो. For that matter, context, है ना, if you are able to identify exactly the context in which this question was asked. For example, we have seen that I2U2 का context क्या था, है ना? That question was asked in October 2022, है ना, या September 2022, and the context was in June or July it had been elevated, that body had been elevated to summit level, है ना? So we can start our answer that recently I2U2 has been elevated. It was, and it was just few months back created and then immediately elevated to summit level, shows that, है ना, it is a vital, it is a quadrilateral body of consequence for regional and global geopolitics. And I will, जब मैं introduce करूँगी ना, एक चीज़ है कि I will borrow introduction, body और conclusion सब में, especially but in introduction and conclusion I will borrow the words from the question itself. मुझे बहुत दिमाग लगा के अलग कुछ नहीं लिखना होता. I have to borrow the words. I have to make those linkages and I have to borrow the words from the question itself. That tells the examiner I am within the scope of the question. I am answering the question and I have not missed the question. मैं कुछ भी नहीं लिखने लग गई हूँ. CAR देख के मैंने बस शुरू नहीं कर दिया. I have understood what the question is or what the I2U2 question was. Yes, first I will, maybe if I can identify the context, then I can broadly define the idea according to my understanding or according to the demand of the question. Then I can start with some relevant data. So if a question comes on child sex ratio, I can say the recent data was a stark reminder of the discrimination against women which starts at birth. So that way I can introduce. Yes, and some data I can point out. Quote relevant report. Yes, summarize the question itself, interlinkages you can make between the concepts mentioned if any. Yes, and let us remember for 10 or 15 marker question, the introduction should not be more than a sentence. Maximum 2 sentences, उससे ज़्यादा नहीं, है ना? 2 line लिख दी, 1 sentence लिख दिया, it is actually more than sufficient. ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा 2 sentences लिख दो, उससे ज़्यादा तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं. 3rd sentence पे जाना भी नहीं है ना? Because what is the king? The body is the king. Body is going to get you marks. Introduction is not going to get you marks. Yes, but if you do not have introduction supposedly, yes, that would mean deduction of half a mark. But introduction is not going to bring me marks. Fine, let us see few toppers script here. Yes, this is a topper script of Xenia Arora. Yes, this year when she secured the 6th rank, उससे पहले ही जो अभ्यास एग्जाम हुआ था उसमें इन्होंने ये आंसर्स लिखे हैं. तो वी विल अंडरस्टैंड कि उनका राइटिंग स्किल यही है, इसी तरह का उनकी हैंड राइटिंग है, इसी तरह से वो लिखती हैं, है ना? यही ब्रॉड पैटर्न है, कोई बहुत ज़्यादा फ़र्क नहीं आया होगा उनके मेन एग्जाम में. Yes, so analyze the transformation of G7 from a symbol of Western strategic unity to a forum marked by internal contradiction. How should India navigate this challenging dynamic to advance its strategic interests? Yes, how do I go about the introduction here? What will be my introduction here for that matter? See, whenever there is a question which begins, अच्छा इसमें तो statement नहीं है, analyze the transformation of G7 from a symbol of a Western strategic unity to a forum marked by internal contradiction. अगर ये नहीं होता, analyze the transformation भी नहीं होता, है ना? Recently we have witnessed the transformation of G7. Always whenever a question starts with a sentence, we tend to substantiate that statement. जब भी कोई सवाल शुरू सेंटेंस से होगा तो आप क्या करोगे? You will substantiate that very statement. And how do you substantiate? Substantiate मतलब you have to prove that the statement is correct. तो यहाँ पे भी यही बोल रहे हैं, analyze the transformation. Yes, तो how would I substantiate for that matter? Substantiation में 2 पार्ट होता है, एक होता है evidence, examples दोगे, और दूसरा reason बता दोगे. Yes, anyways, now let us come to this question. Analyze the transformation of G7 from a symbol of Western strategic unity to a forum marked by internal contradiction. So let's see what she has introduced. Group of 7 was the epitome of Western unity and market heft, मतलब importance, now increasingly faced with fragmentation. So she has, है ना, वापस से उसी क्वेश्चन को ही वापस लिखा है, कुछ अलग नहीं किया, अपने शब्दों में उसी क्वेश्चन को लिखा. फिर अब नाउ शी वुड गिव एविडेंसेस ऑफ, है ना, एविडेंसेस ऑफ दिस फ्रैगमेंटेशन एंड द रीजन फॉर फ्रैगमेंटेशन, क्योंकि एनालाइज है ना, तो दैट इज हाउ. And I will not leave my answer only at analysis. Wherever I can give examples to substantiate, I will give. क्योंकि analysis हवा में नहीं हमने की है. We have to say that we are very logical individual. We can see the example and what we are saying is interrelated. Fine. Next, the 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act 2019 has introduced a new dimension to the principle of affirmative action in India. Critically examine its implications for broader goal of social justice. Yes, so question 103rd Constitutional Amendment has introduced a new dimension to the principle of affirmative action. The key word that she has taken is affirmative action, and how she has written, affirmative action is crucial to redressal of historical disadvantages and for fostering equity based socio-economic justice. देखो ये सब key words हैं, बहुत लंबा इंट्रोडक्शन, ये एक सेंटेंस है कि नहीं है ना, इट इज़ वन सेंटेंस. आई होप यू अंडरस्टैंड, फुल स्टॉप टू फुल स्टॉप, दैट इज़ वन सेंटेंस, लेकिन सारे कीवर्ड्स हैं. इक्विटी बेस्ड सोशो इकोनॉमिक जस्टिस, यस, है ना, एंड इज रिड्रेसल ऑफ हिस्टोरिकल डिसएडवांटेजेस. यस, सो कीवर्ड्स लिखकर एफर्मेटिव एक्शन को ही डिफाइन कर दिया अपने आप में, एंड व्हाट इज द यूटिलिटी ऑफ इट. देन टू व्हाट एक्सटेंट Beti Bachao Beti Padhao scheme launched in 2015 succeeded in addressing declining child sex ratio and empowering the girl child. Yes, suggest measures to enhance its impact at grassroots level. अब rather than, है ना, बेटी बचाओ ideas को लेके introduce कर रही हैं, ठीक है, तो the preamble establishes an India where equality and justice are foundational values applied to gender empowerment dynamic via Beti Bachao Beti Padhao. And rather than saying that this scheme was launched then this and there, क्योंकि इसमें और क्या इंट्रोडक्शन होगा इसमें, है ना, अदरवाइज ये बहुत फैक्चुअल इंट्रोडक्शन हो जाता है ना. तो यू हैव टू एड्रेसिंग चाइल्ड सेक्स रेशियो, या तो है ना, शी कुड हैव इंट्रोड्यूस थ्रू चाइल्ड सेक्स रेशियो द डिक्लाइनिंग, दैट यस द रीसेंट रिपोर्ट साइट्स अ ट्रेंड ऑफ डिक्लाइनिंग चाइल्ड सेक्स रेशियो, or whatever it is. Yes, self-help groups are emerging as vehicles of socio-economic transformation in rural India. Examine the role of government in scaling their reach and effectiveness. So we have come across this question. इसमें क्या है? The first, it is a sentence, and a question starts with a sentence. That self-help groups are emerging as vehicles for socio-economic transformation in rural India. तो उसी स्टेटमेंट को मैंने क्या बताया, हमेशा सब्सटैंशिएट करने की ज़रूरत है. तो उन्होंने कैसे सब्सटैंशिएट किया है? सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स आर कॉल्ड नेशनल हेल्प ग्रुप्स एंड आर ट्रू ग्रास रूट एनेबलर्स ऑफ चेंज. यस, सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप मूवमेंट, सेवा मूवमेंट, फिर बैंक लिंकेज स्कीम शुरू हुई, फिर है ना इसको लिंक कर दिया नेशनल रूरल, है ना, मिशन से, नेशनल अर्बन मिशन से, एंड दिस हैज़ प्रोवाइडेड न्यू इम्पेटस, है ना. बेसिकली आई जस्ट वांट टू हाईलाइट कि ये भी एक तरीका है, इंट्रोडक्शन में ही उन्होंने एक फ्लो चार्ट टाइप ड्रॉ कर दिया, जस्ट टू शो एज व्हीकल्स ऑफ सोशो इकोनॉमिक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन इन रूरल इंडिया. यस, यू कैन, अब डेफिनेशन बेस्ड कुछ जगह कहीं पे, है ना, डेफिनेशन को इंटरलिंकेज किया. ग्लोबलाइजेशन हैज सिग्निफिकेंटली इन्फ्लुएंस्ड एस्पिरेशन, लाइफस्टाइल्स एंड वैल्यू सिस्टम ऑफ इंडियन यूथ. यस, हैज सिग्निफिकेंटली इन्फ्लुएंस्ड एस्पिरेशन, लाइफस्टाइल्स एंड वैल्यू सिस्टम. ठीक है, तो अब शुरू कैसे किया है? ग्लोबलाइजेशन रेफर्स टू इंटीग्रेशन ऑफ सोसाइटीज एंड इकोनॉमीज ड्यू टू ट्रेड, टेक्नोलॉजी एंड माइग्रेशन. दिस इज हाउ, इनफैक्ट देख रहे हो क्वेश्चन से लिंक्ड है, हैज सिग्निफिकेंटली इन्फ्लुएंस एस्पिरेशन, लाइफस्टाइल एंड वैल्यू सिस्टम. तो ग्लोबलाइजेशन, integration of societies and economies due to trade, technology and migration. Globalization is not new, but the transfer of impact ideas at a clicks is unprecedented. है ना, तो इस तरह से यू है ना, इन्होंने एक ग्राफ भी ड्रॉ कर दिया है फॉर दैट मैटर. अब है ना, अंकुश धुल, Ankush Dhul, in fact, he has secured the second highest marks as far as GS paper 2, GS paper 1 तो नहीं, GS paper 2 is concerned. We will see his answers even for GS paper 2, लेकिन ये GS paper 1 का है. Examine how Chandragupta II's reign symbolized golden age of cultural development, laying the foundation for future advancement in Indian art, and represented the golden age seen from both literary and archaeological evidences. तो चंद्रगुप्ता को यूज करके है ना, explain the socio-economic transformation resulting from women's migration to metropolitan areas in India. ठीक है, तो आइडिया the explain the socio-economic transformation resulting from women's migration to metropolitan areas. Yes. तो मैं इंट्रोडक्शन किस पे लिखूंगी? आई विल राइट द इंट्रोडक्शन ऑन, किस पे लिखूंगी मैं? सोशियो इकोनॉमिक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन, एक्सप्लेन द सोशल रिजल्टिंग फ्रॉम वुमेन्स माइग्रेशन टू मेट्रोपॉलिटन एरिया. मेरा इंट्रोडक्शन किस पे होगा? व्हाट इज द कीवर्ड दैट आई विल यूज फॉर इंट्रोडक्शन? वुमेन्स माइग्रेशन है ना, ये माइग्रेशन इन जनरल इफ आई वांट टू यूज, बट इट इज 10 मार्कर. आई विल डायरेक्टली गो इनटू वुमेन्स माइग्रेशन. सवाल क्या है? वुमेन्स माइग्रेशन टू मेट्रोपॉलिटन एरियाज इन इंडिया. इफ यू स्टडी दिस टॉपिक ऑफ माइग्रेशन, है ना, जो सिलेबस में है, तो व्हेन यू स्टडी दिस टॉपिक ऑफ माइग्रेशन यू वुड बी टोल्ड दैट, है ना, इंट्रा स्टेट माइग्रेशन इंडिया में बहुत है ना, इंटर स्टेट एंड इंट्रा स्टेट विद इन द कंट्री a lot of migration takes place. In fact, it is said 37% of the population is migrant in India. ठीक है, क्योंकि you go to work, है ना, you have come here to study. Maybe you are not based out of the Delhi, है ना, दिल्ली से आप नहीं हो, लेकिन you have still come out to study. So we are all migrants here. Fine. So 37% of the population is migrant. और जब आप women migration पढ़ोगे फिर specifically, तो women के साथ क्या है, men का जो migration होता है वो interstate होता है या अर्बन टू रूरल. अगर इंट्रा स्टेट है तो अर्बन टू रूरल होगा, नहीं तो इंटर स्टेट होगा, अक्रॉस स्टेट्स होगा. बट विमेन का माइग्रेशन ना अधिकतर इंट्रा स्टेट है एंड रूरल टू रूरल ही होता है. एंड विमेन का माइग्रेशन इज प्राइमरली बिकॉज ऑफ मैरिज. फाइन. तो विमेन्स माइग्रेशन क्योंकि मैरिज से है, तो यू मैरी इनटू सिमिलर, है ना, बैकग्राउंड पीपल. सो जनरली जो रूरल वेमेन का माइग्रेशन है वो रूरल टू रूरल है एंड इंट्रा स्टेट है. बट द क्वेश्चन इज सेइंग टॉक अबाउट द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ विमेन्स माइग्रेशन फ्रॉम रूरल टू मेट्रोपॉलिटन एरियाज. सो फर्स्ट मे बी आई कैन ब्रिंग आउट दिस स्टार्क फैक्ट, क्योंकि इट इज़ ह्यूज, है ना, 87% ये लार्ज प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ विमेन्स माइग्रेशन इज एक्चुअली इंट्रा स्टेट एंड रूरल टू रूरल. तो यू फाइंड दैट वी विल पॉइंट आउट दिस फैक्ट दैट majority of women's migration. So let's see what he has written. As per the census 2011, 31% of India's population is migrant. ये बहुत common data है. फिर however most migration is intra, है ना, however most migration is intra-state, and for women it is driven by marriage. Thus migration to urban areas, though transformative for women, है ना, but SDG 5 still a luxury. इसका मतलब क्या है? वो उन्होंने बोला है कि, है ना, अधिकतर माइग्रेशन इंट्रा स्टेट है, विमेन का माइग्रेशन फॉर मैरिज होता है, एंड, है ना, एक्सप्लेन द सोशो इकोनॉमिक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन. तो इसीलिए उन्होंने कह दिया क्या, यूजिंग दैट वेरी वर्ड, दो द माइग्रेशन टू अर्बन एरियाज कैन बी ट्रांसफॉर्मेटरी, बट डिस्पाइट it being transformatory, it falls short from achieving the goals of SDG 5, which is about women empowerment and stuff. So दोनों कर दिया कि नहीं, evaluate pros and cons दोनों बता दिया. Transformative है, लेकिन you find that it is still very challenging. Fine, so this way we go about introducing. I hope you are understanding, है ना? Word draw किया and सब कुछ बता दिया. इसमें I have taken my stand also that good भी है लेकिन दिक्कतें भी है. Yes, and this is a very common data. NCERT में रहता है ये, है ना? So that has been pointed out in SDG goal number 5, which stands for gender equality. So though it is transformative, but it fails short of achieving what is known as gender equality. Yes, recent event. तो है ना, वाई न्यूज़ के कंटेक्स्ट में बता दिया. नाउ कमिंग टू दी बॉडी, इट इज़ द मेन कंटेंट ऑफ द आंसर. द वेरियस हेड्स शुड बी एज पर. बॉडी में क्या है, बॉडी की खासियत क्या है, यू हैव टू कम आउट विथ वेरियस हेड्स. या तो क्वेश्चन इटसेल्फ इज गोइंग टू टेल यू द वेरियस हेड्स. अ लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन मेनी अ टाइम्स टेल्स यू इवैल्यूएट, देन हाईलाइट, देन क्रिटिकली एनालाइज, है ना. सो द क्वेश्चन इटसेल्फ, इफ इट गिव्स यू वेरियस हेड्स, वेल एंड गुड. If it does not give you, you have to come out with 3 heads. Yes, and even if it gives 3 heads, your answer need not get over in 3 heads. There might be a 4th head which needs to be discussed, or a 5th head in essentially way forward that needs to be discussed. If the question starts with a statement, one needs to substantiate it as part of the introduction itself. And substantiate में क्या है, justify reasons as well as evidences. And some myths around this idea of body. ये बहुत important myth है. All points in the book or newspapers are important. ऐसा नहीं है, relevant point लिखने हैं और ज़रूरी नहीं है मुझे जितने points हैं मैं सारे के सारे लिख दूँ, है ना. If I have 10 points, 5 points जो important है मैं वो लिख सकती हूँ. Yes, more points is equal to more marks नहीं. A well structured answer, है ना, a logically arranged answer means more marks. Every answer must have only points. ज़रूरी नहीं है, कहीं पे हम थोड़ा पैराग्राफ भी लिख सकते हैं, कहीं पे हम पॉइंट्स भी लिख सकते हैं. एक ही आंसर में पैराग्राफ पॉइंट्स दोनों चल सकता है. फैंसी लैंग्वेज फेचेस मोर मार्क्स, नहीं, ये भी नहीं है. ठीक है. अच्छा, दिस इज़ अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट मिथ दैट आई वांट टू एड्रेस. एवरी आंसर नीड्स डायग्राम्स एंड फ्लो चार्ट्स. Yes, does it require? No. It depends on you. Yes, and we had a topper, I forget his rank. He had come for a topper's talk. I think so, he had secured 5th rank this time. And this was his 4th or 5th attempt itself. And I forget his name, but the message was very important. He said in what mistake he was making in his previous exams. In his previous exams, he was trying to write in points and he was trying to draw diagrams and flowchart in every answer. But he said that this is not me. I cannot do this. And he had a very strong academic record. He was probably an IITian, went into IIM and all such things. So he came with a very strong academic record, but he was struggling in UPSC. It was his 4th or 5th attempt and he tried to draw answers and flowcharts and diagrams in every answer. But by the time this last attempt, he realized that this is not me. And I have been trying to do this, but to no avail. So in this attempt, he said, I did not draw diagrams and flowcharts in my answer. I wrote answer which naturally comes to me. है ना, जहाँ पे मुझे points आ रहे थे मैंने points लिखे, जहाँ मुझे paragraphs आ रहे थे मैंने paragraphs लिखे. And I did not draw because for me it takes a lot of time, he was saying. Yes, so, but he was the topper this year. He got IAS, yes, which he could not in the past 4 attempts. So there might be some improvement in his answers, but ऐसा कोई drastic नहीं था. Yes, so the point is, do as you think is right. Try making flowcharts, try making diagrams, but if towards the end you feel no, it is not working for me. I'm not saying that do not attempt it at the start. ट्राई है ना, इंडिया का फटाफट से मैप ड्रॉ करना सीखो, वर्ल्ड मैप ड्रॉ करना सीखो. यस, फ्लो चार्ट्स जब आप पढ़ रहे हो, इनफैक्ट फ्लो चार्ट्स रियली हेल्प बिकॉज इतना बड़ा सिलेबस है तो हाउ डू यू रिमेंबर, रिवाइज, रिकॉल, है ना. यू फॉर योर ओन खुद ही अगर पढ़ोगे लिख लिख के तो अपने आप फ्लो चार्ट बन जाएंगे. यू डोंट हैव टू ट्राई एंड मेक फ्लो चार्ट, इट विल हैपन ऑटोमेटिकली, है ना. सो डू ऑल दैट, बट इफ इट डज नॉट फ्लो नेचुरली, इट इज़ नॉट वेरी वेरी एसेंशियल. Yes, that one point. Second point I want to make as far as the body is concerned, what happens when we are reading our newspapers, when we are making notes, when we are reading some book, we like a sentence and we want to memorize that sentence completely. We are very fascinated, oh very beautiful sentence, I want to know this sentence completely. Maybe few sentences you can, है ना, जो कोई quote है या ऐसा करके है, but otherwise bare basic points. We'll see through few answer scripts, you will see how you toppers have written. Just keywords लिख के गए हैं वो. Because we have to understand 20 questions in 3 hours. So every question gets 7 or 8 minutes. उसमें thinking भी है, comprehensive answer भी है, structuring भी है ना, there is, और सारे सवाल आपको आते नहीं हैं. So it takes some time. Yes, so you find that, है ना, basically the point is when you make notes, do not get overwhelmed with these sentences. है ना, don't make very long, lengthy notes. Make crisp notes as far as GS is concerned. Fine. है ना, critically analyze means criticizing the government. No. है ना, it is not just critical analysis. There is some achievements also pointed out. There is one perfect format to all answers. That does not really exist. As you go about, you will keep practicing और आपको अपना पता चलेगा. Model answers are exactly how real toppers write in exam hall. Absolutely not. है ना, मॉडल आंसर्स बहुत पेशेंटली आराम से बैठ के 2 घंटे में लिखे जाते हैं, है ना, लेकिन एग्जामिनेशन हॉल में उतना समय नहीं है. आपने देखा किस तरह की हैंडराइटिंग है, किस तरह से वो लिख रहे हैं. दिस इज़ नॉट टू कन्वे कि हैंडराइटिंग पे ध्यान मत दो. यू पे अटेंशन, बट टू द बेस्ट ऑफ योर केपेबिलिटी यू ट्राई टू, बट डू नॉट गेट ओवरवेल्म्ड. डोंट स्टार्ट थिंकिंग ओ नाउ आई हैव टू स्टार्ट कर्सिव राइटिंग. yes, it simply needs to be legible. Fine. So in fact, I did not point out previously, आकांश धूल के आंसर स्क्रिप्ट्स देखेंगे क्योंकि सेकंड हाईएस्ट मार्क है इनका. Yes, he has secured 129 in GS paper 2. Yes, आकांश धूल GS पेपर 1 में भी सेकंड हाईएस्ट मार्क्स है, ठीक है. एंड GS पेपर 3 में हम आर्यन यादव के देखेंगे. 5th हाईएस्ट मार्क्स है 102. यस, अच्छा, हैव अ ब्रॉड लुक, है ना, जो हमने ये मार्क्स हाईलाइट किया बस उसी को देख लो, है ना. ईश्वता आनंद, इनका रैंक क्या है 50. ये आर्यन यादव का रैंक क्या है 31. आकांश धूल का रैंक क्या है 3. यस, है ना, लुक एट देयर मार्क्स. ईश्वता आनंद 100 मार्क्स शी हैज गॉट आउट ऑफ 250, है ना. जिसका रैंक 31 है उनका मार्क्स कितना है 102 था. यस, है ना. आकांश धूल जो सेकंड हाईएस्ट मार्क है उसका 129 आया है. यस, आकांश धूल जो सेकंड हाईएस्ट है उसका 117 आया है. तो बेसिकली what is the, you are not going to get 50% marks in GS, that is the point. 125 is 50% of 250. So in GS papers, है ना, टॉपर्स को भी 40 to 50% का ब्रैकेट है, बहुत ज़्यादा वेरिएशन नहीं है. यस, सो वी नीड नॉट स्पेंड, वी नीड टू राइट डिसेंट आंसर्स, मे बी अबव एवरेज क्वालिटी आंसर अक्रॉस दोज 20 क्वेश्चंस. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि 5 क्वेश्चन तो मैंने बहुत अच्छे लिखे, फिर 3 क्वेश्चंस आई समहाउ मैनेज्ड एंड मे बी लास्ट 5 क्वेश्चंस आई कुड नॉट टच. दैट शुड नॉट हैपन. वी नीड टू go through all the 20 questions and almost at a decent level, है ना, average or above average level, and you will get these marks, है ना. So you have to learn the, देखा किसी को ऐसा नहीं है 8 नंबर नहीं मिल रहे 10 में से या 15 में से 10 नंबर नहीं मिल रहे, तो you need not spend, content is important, but I need not think that till the time my preparation is not over I cannot write answers. Do you understand? है ना. तो आई नीड टू स्टार्ट राइटिंग आंसर्स टुडे. जब 10 में से 4 नंबर और 5 नंबर ही मिलने वाले हैं. 5 नंबर तब मिलेंगे जब आपने उस टॉपिक को काफ़ी अच्छे से पढ़ रखा है. अगर नहीं पढ़ रखा है लेकिन डिसेंट आंसर राइटिंग आता है, यू नो, यू हैव बेसिक इन्फॉर्मेशन, बेसिक आइडिया अबाउट द टॉपिक, यू विल स्टिल गेट 3.5 मार्क्स, है ना. बिल्कुल ब्लैंक हो दैट इज डिफरेंट, बट इफ यू हैव डिसेंट आइडिया यू कैन गेट दोज मार्क्स. सो द पॉइंट इज स्टार्ट प्रैक्टिसिंग योर आंसर्स. Fine, one practice question. The virus of conflict is affecting the functioning of SEO. In the light of above statement, point out role of India in mitigating the crisis. So I want a structure to this answer. This question as such was asked in 22, 23 I think, so they had asked this question. It was a GS question. Yes, virus of conflict is affecting the functioning of SEO. In the light of the above statement, point out the role of India in mitigating the crisis. And the context I can tell you that year we had hosted SEO. India had hosted the SEO summit. And in 2023 itself we had hosted the SEO summit. And उस context में इन्होंने ये सवाल पूछा था SEO पे. Yes, virus of conflict. Broad structure you tell me, just broad structure. Introduction में क्या लिखोगे? Yes, you will introduce through some discussion on SEO. Yes, what else? फिर हाँ देखो मैंने आपको बताया ये सेंटेंस से शुरू हो रहा है कि नहीं. The virus of conflict is affecting the functioning of SEO. Actually my introduction is this. Yes, so I can start with a sentence on SEO, no problem, but then my next description, virus of conflict, or the various conflicts affecting functioning of SEO. The various conflicts, let me put it this way, various conflicts affecting the functioning, है ना, randomly conflicts नहीं point out करना है, but the conflicts which are affecting the functioning of SEO. Yes, and in the light of the above statement, point out role of India. Role of India in mitigating the crisis. What crisis? The crisis as far as SEO is concerned, है ना, so as to ensure smooth functioning of SEO. Yes, because why? Because we hosted SEO that year, and so India's role in smooth functioning of SEO. Yes, this is going to be my broad structure that I will go about. And a various conflict affecting, which is affecting the functioning of SEO. See, it was I think so a 10 marker question only, so I need not get into too much detail, but various conflicts and how it is functioning. And examples and how it is affecting the functioning of SEO. तो various conflicts अभी इसको आज के समय पे ले लो. SEO के members पता होने चाहिए. SEO के members 4 Central Asian republics except तुर्कमेनिस्तान है, तो कजाकिस्तान, उज्बेकिस्तान, तजिकिस्तान एंड किर्गिस्तान. ठीक है, उसके अलावा कौन है? इंडिया, चाइना, रशिया, पाकिस्तान, आज के दिन ईरान भी है एंड बेलारूस भी है. यस, तो अब बता दो कौन से कन्फ्लिक्ट्स हैं आज के दिन, बताओ. भारत नहीं, इंडिया है. तो इंडिया है ना, भारत लिखते ही ऐसा लगता है कोई देयर इज सम पॉलिटिकल कंटेक्स्ट, है ना, बिकॉज इंग्लिश में लिख रहे हैं तो इंग्लिश नेम यूज करेंगे, विच इज इंडिया. ठीक है, तो इंडिया चाइना का कन्फ्लिक्ट उस दौरान तो एटलीस्ट चल रहा था, टिल 2024 इट वाज देयर, बॉर्डर कन्फ्लिक्ट, तो वो बता दिया. फिर रशिया यूक्रेन वॉर वाज गोइंग ऑन, है ना. प्रेजेंटली ईरान इज ऑल्सो इन्वॉल्व इन अ कन्फ्लिक्ट विथ US. So you find that when the members are involved in conflict, how does it affect the functioning? अगर दोनों member India and China are involved in conflict, so it creates a drag on the organization. India Pakistan does not get along, creates a drag on the organization, है ना. दोनों cooperate नहीं करना चाहते organization में. Iran versus US, but Iran is a member, so Iran's attention towards SEO declines. It is not able to prioritize the cooperation under SEO. That is how it affects the functioning, है ना. एक लाइन में बताना है affecting the functioning. उसके बाद क्या है? India's role, है ना. So whatever India had taken, the steps India has taken or had taken, that needed to be pointed out. Yes, and SEO is an, I told you, अगर introduction SEO का बताना है तो यही बताएंगे. It is an intergovernmental organization formed in 2001, and इसका aim क्या है? एम, डिलेमा यही है, इट वाज एम था उसका टू डील विथ ट्रिपल इविल्स, बट नाउ इट इज गेटिंग अफेक्टेड बाय दोज इविल्स इटसेल्फ, ऐसे करके वी कैन राइट, है ना, जहाँ पे भी हम लिख सके. सो सम टॉपर्स आंसर्स आर्यन यादव, है ना. वी जस्ट नीड टू लुक इनटू द स्ट्रक्चरिंग, और कुछ नहीं. द क्वेश्चन इज, to what extent has a first national monetization pipeline been able to meet its objective? What are the objectives of the new asset monetization plan as announced in the recent 2025 budget? ठीक है. तो इनको देखो, ये टॉपर थे ना, 5th हाईएस्ट नंबर आए थे, और इनको 102 नंबर आए हैं, है ना, यूपीएससी में जीएस पेपर 3 में. बट इनके आंसर्स देखना, डिसेंट आंसर्स हैं. Yes, so to what extent the first national monetization pipeline was able to meet its objective? देखो, पहले इंट्रोडक्शन है नेशनल मोनेटाइजेशन पाइपलाइन पे, फिर ऑब्जेक्टिव्स मेट बाय द फर्स्ट नेशनल मोनेटाइजेशन पाइपलाइन. क्वेश्चन के हिसाब से है, यस, लेकिन ऑब्जेक्टिव्स मेट से पहले क्या बताना पड़ेगा, व्हाट वर द ऑब्जेक्टिव्स. तो इन्होंने साथ साथ में बताया है, इंक्रीज प्राइवेट सेक्टर पार्टिसिपेशन, है ना, तो उसका क्या है, 38% ऑफ द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स. यस, प्रमोट हायर प्राइवेट सेक्टर इन्वेस्टमेंट, तो अभी कितना हो गया, 27%. एनहांस्ड एफिशिएंसी बाय ब्रिंगिंग इन प्राइवेट सेक्टर. यस, फिर क्या है ना, व्हाट आर द ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ऑफ न्यू, अच्छा, शॉर्टफॉल्स, उसमें अचीवमेंट्स. यस, to what extent was the first national monetization pipeline able to meet its objective? To what extent? So I have to tell both achievements as well as shortcomings. Yes, I need to tell the objectives, then usi objective ke relation mein achievements, and then the shortcomings. Yes, and what was the objective of the new asset monetization plan? Yes, so I have told the achievements here, then shortfalls बता दिया, objective of the, है ना, new asset management plan बता दिया. Yes, so that is how you go about structuring. And conclusion लिखा है, this plan can help boost infrastructure in India and enhance productivity of economy. The main challenges, discuss the main challenges hindering the Indian textile industry from achieving its full potential in global value chains. What would be the structure? हाँ, ठीक है, एक सेकंड रुको, है ना. फर्स्ट लेट मी अंडरलाइन द इम्पोर्टेंट. यस, क्वेश्चन क्या है, discuss the main challenges hindering the Indian textile industry from achieving its full potential in global value chains. Yes, so what will be the introduction? Others, if you can tell me. एग्जैक्टली हमें यही बताना है, हमें अपना पहले कंटेक्स्ट बताना है कि आज के दिन हमारे ग्लोबल वैल्यू चेन में टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री का क्या शेयर है. यस, एंड देन डिस्कस द मेन चैलेंजेस. उसके बाद आप बताओ कि हाउएवर दिस इंडस्ट्री हैज़ अ लॉट ऑफ पोटेंशियल बट देन इट इज़ फेस्ड विथ द फॉलोइंग चेंजेस. तो एक लाइन में अगर बता सके हम, है ना, इट्स पोटेंशियल. एंड हाँ, if you have that data, of course, in the introduction itself, it sets a very good, है ना, नोट कि मैंने बताया एनालिसिस कहाँ से आता है, कंपैरिजन से. तो अगर इंडिया इज़ वन ऑफ द लार्जेस्ट टेक्सटाइल प्रोड्यूसर्स, है ना, हमारा टेक्सटाइल बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट सेक्टर है. फिर इट इज़ लेबर, है ना, एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन है काफ़ी इसके थ्रू, तो है ना. बट देन द चैलेंजेस दैट इट फेसेस, है ना, एंड व्हाट आर द स्टेप्स दैट इंडिया कैन टेक. यस, जब चैलेंजेस पूछा है तो अपने आप वे फॉरवर्ड लिखना ही है. डू यू अंडरस्टैंड? और ग्लोबल वैल्यू चेन नहीं होता तो हमारा ये इंट्रोडक्शन नहीं होता. तो वो है ना, अगर ये इफ दिस वर्ड वुड नॉट हैव बीन मेंशन, द मेन चैलेंज हिंडरिंग इंडियन टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री फ्रॉम अचीविंग इट्स फुल पोटेंशियल, देन हम इंडियन टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री की बात करते हैं, है ना, द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ या द, है ना, द पोटेंशियल इन तो हम यहाँ से करते हैं मेन पोटेंशियल, तो हम इसका पोटेंशियल इंट्रोडक्शन क्या होता है, पोटेंशियल ऑफ इंडियन टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री. Then I would tell the challenges and then I would tell way forward. Yes or no? लेकिन अब क्या हो गया, इन ग्लोबल वैल्यू चेन आ गया, तो फॉर मी आई विल ऑल्सो गिव द डेटा, है ना, इफ आई हैव द डेटा, है ना, इंडियन टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री इन ग्लोबल वैल्यू चेन. डेटा दे दो या अगर कुछ आइडिया है तो उस पर बात करो. एंड ही हैड डेटा इवन टू कंपेयर से चाइना और बांग्लादेश पोजीशन इन ग्लोबल वैल्यू चेन. वी कैन डू दैट ना. तो डिपेंडिंग ऑन द क्वेश्चन. और पोटेंशियल क्यों लिखा, क्योंकि यहाँ पे पोटेंशियल वर्ड था. सो दैट इज हाउ यू स्ट्रक्चर योर आंसर अकॉर्डिंग टू द क्वेश्चन आस्क्ड. एग्जीक्यूटिव अकाउंटेबिलिटी. Executive accountability through parliamentary committees has been the hallmark of Indian political system. इसमें इंट्रोडक्शन क्या करोगे? Executive accountability through parliamentary committees has been the hallmark of Indian political system. How will you structure? ठीक है, ये इसी क्वेश्चन को ही समराइज कर रहे हैं वो इंट्रोडक्शन में. वो तो एग्जाम्पल्स हो गए. हैव बीन द हॉलमार्क ऑफ इंडियन पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम. तो अकाउंटेबिलिटी कैसे करती हैं वो बता दिया, है ना. तो इसको बोल रहे हैं हाँ कि वो अच्छा काम कर रही हैं. फिर चैलेंजेस बताओगे, आ जाएगा अपने आप, है ना. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं. व्हाट ही सेड अब लेट्स गो बाय व्हाट ही इज सेइंग. पहले इंट्रोडक्शन में वी हैव मेड दिस लिंकेज वंस अगेन. फिर से हमने बताया अलग अपने शब्दों में that yes, and that the parliamentary committees play a key role in extracting executive accountability in the Indian political system. Yes, and then we explain, maybe we can say parliamentary committees of two types, ad hoc and permanent. Yes, and then we said yes, we have explained how with examples parliamentary committees are able to extract executive accountability. But there are some challenges. And conclusion in way forward. Yes, or else a better way of introduction, अगर आपको थोड़ा nuance पता हो तो Indian political system लिखा है. इसमें सवाल क्या लिखा है? Executive accountability through parliamentary committees has been the hallmark of Indian political system. तो Indian political system क्या है? We have adopted a parliamentary form of government in which the executive is drawn from the legislature. Yeah, and the distinguishing feature of parliamentary form of government is the fact that executive are continuously held accountable by the legislature. Presidential system ये feature नहीं है ना. ये parliamentary form का ही है कि the executive is held accountable by the legislature. Continuous accountability है. और continuous accountability, अब accountability कैसे extract करें? Through bodies like CAG है, या थ्रू, है ना, परमानेंट अकाउंट कमिटी जो CAG के रिपोर्ट को देखता है. तो थ्रू दीज कमिटीज दैट द एग्जीक्यूटिव इज हेल्ड अकाउंटेबल. तो यू गिव प्रोज, यू गिव कॉन्स एंड देन कंक्लूजन में वे फॉरवर्ड. फाइन. तो आकांक्ष धूले उन्होंने कैसे लिखा, देख रहे हो आप, कोई बहुत मेजर, है ना, सेंटेंसेस बहुत ज़्यादा भी नहीं है. फ्लो चार्ट्स यूज करके लिमिटेशंस इन एग्जीक्यूटिव अकाउंटेबिलिटी. अकाउंटेबिलिटी इज इक्वल टू आंसरेबिलिटी फॉर डिसीजंस. कमिटीज, है ना, डू नॉट हैव पावर टू punish, only recommendatory in nature. इस तरह से है ना उन्होंने अपने पॉइंट्स लिख दिए हैं, बिकॉज कॉम्प्रीहेंसिव आंसर लिखना है, 10 नंबर का ही है, बट देयर वर सेवरल हेड्स दैट ही हैज कवर्ड. He has not limited himself to just the question that he has addressed, but beyond that challenges भी बताया और फिर way forward भी बताएंगे. Yes, but 10 marker है तो of course है ना that adjustment has to be made. While the CBI plays a crucial role in combating corruption, its functioning is often criticized as being partisan and acting against federal spirit. Yes, and discuss with help of suitable examples. तो पहला क्या है, इंट्रोडक्शन कैसा होगा? पहला thing that we need to keep in mind, it starts with a sentence. So I will have to substantiate the sentence that is given. So CBI plays a crucial role in combating corruption. Yes, and its functioning, while it plays a crucial role, its functioning is often criticized as being partisan and acting against federal spirit. So दोनों चीज़ बताएंगे, how does it play a crucial role in combating corruption, but how its functioning is often criticized. ठीक है, और यहाँ पे कोई आगे क्वेश्चन नहीं है, discuss with help of examples here. Yes, so how do I introduce with CBI, है ना? Yes, Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. हाँ. हाँ, ठीक है. यस यस है ना, कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव आंसर बताएं. इंट्रोडक्शन करेंगे, है ना, CBI जेनेसिस, एंड जेनेसिस प्राइमरली एज एन करप्शन कंट्रोल बॉडी इटसेल्फ, है ना. देन व्हाट इज द रोल दैट इट प्लेज इन करप्शन कंट्रोल, तो थोड़े उसके पावर्स फंक्शंस वहाँ पे बता दिए, कुछ एग्जांपल्स अच्छे हैं तो दे दिए एक दो. Yes, then you will say कि but है ना, it is criticized for these features. Supreme Court also called it, very famously called it the caged parrot, है ना. तो now maybe there itself we can give some examples and then reasons why it is a caged parrot. Yes, and finally conclude with way forward. Yes, that is how, है ना. substantiate जब भी करेंगे तो example और reasons दोनों देंगे. तो this है ना, जब substantiate कर रही हो दोनों part में, I will give examples if I can and give the reasons as well. है ना, ये भी आकांश धूले की ही पेपर है. Yes, so it has got its powers from Delhi Police Special Establishment Act. It is an executive body. Its role in combating corruption. Then criticism of being bipartisan. Why? Yes, and criticism against acting against federal spirit. तो दोनों को उन्होंने अलग अलग डील किया है. And then it was a 15 marker question. So finally way forward, है ना, conclusion through and way forward. फिर यहाँ पे CBI is a premier investigation body, should insulate itself from politics and lead by example as the cases of transboundary corruption increase. Yes, that was about the body. I think so we have got some brief idea about कि body को, है ना, question जो है उसके तो points लाने ही, उसके तो structuring, but beyond that also challenges and way forward. Yes, then conclusion. Conclusion किस तरह का हो सकता है, या तो it can summarize, जैसे ये वाला example था ना, conclusion has summarized CBI's role as such, जो हमने आंसर लिखा है. Recapitulate the key points, arguments made in the answer. या balanced conclusion, pros and cons, फिर एक बीच का point of view. और third तरीका क्या है, reformist और futuristic conclusion, क्योंकि these are the challenges but we are hopeful in the future. But if we take such and such steps should be taken. अच्छा, one important point as far as the conclusion is concerned, it always has to be optimistic. Yes, so you might be criticizing CBI in your answer. मानो पूरा आंसर आपने, अधिकतर सवाल ऐसा ही था कि CBI को criticize ही किया है. But then in the conclusion we have to be hopeful कि by taking the required steps, CBI might, है ना, do away with partisanship, do away with violation of federal spirit and emerge as the premier investigation agency as it was envisaged. Fine. तो इस तरह से फाइन. सो दैट इज हाउ वी विल गो अबाउट इट. ऑलवेज द कंक्लूजन हैज़ टू बी फ्यूचरिस्टिक. यस. सो फ्यू एग्जाम्पल्स. यहाँ पे कंक्लूजन इन्होंने वे फॉरवर्ड की तरह लिखा है ना. अच्छा, वे फॉरवर्ड के 3 पॉइंट्स दिए थे, कंक्लूजन अलग लिखा है. इंडिया यूज्ड इट्स प्रेसिडेंसी ऑफ G20 एज अ to bring voice to the global south to the center stage, discuss with special reference to Africa. So Delhi Declaration has ignited a spark of global south, helped India gain the goodwill in Africa. The solidarity should be used to create partnerships of 21st century in the spirit of heteropolar world order या multipolar world order. तो बेसिकली उसी को लिखा है, लेकिन टेकिंग इट फॉरवर्ड कि इट विल बी यूज्ड टू क्रिएट अ मल्टीपोलर वर्ल्ड ऑर्डर, जो हमारा फॉरेन पॉलिसी गोल है. सम रिफॉर्मिस्ट कंक्लूजन जहाँ पे है ना, यू कैन गो थ्रू दीज एग्जाम्पल्स ना. जैसे लेट मी टेक दिस. एनवायरमेंटलिज्म surfaced in the form of many organized movements in post independence India. Yes, so the need of the hour, and yet environmentalism reflects our culture and was reflected in India's tall Panchamrit commitments. The need of the hour is to expand center of science and environment, unite sporadic movements, industry, academia and government collaboration. Balanced conclusions. Quit India movement marked a new direction in the struggle against British colonial rule. Unlike its predecessors, was militant in its spirit. Some historians term it as August Revolution. It sent signals about clear intentions of Indians that colonial rule was nearing its end. Summarized हो सकता है. अच्छा, having generally discussed our way to write answers, but we will have to be mindful कि हम किस सब्जेक्ट किस टॉपिक में लिख रहे हैं. तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर पॉलिटी गवर्नेंस से कोई सवाल है, देन वी आर माइंडफुल इफ वी कैन ब्रिंग इन आर्टिकल्स ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. इट इज़ नॉट हार्ड एंड फास्ट रूल, बट इट इज़ ऑलवेज बेटर, है ना. बट है ना, सो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजंस, आर्टिकल्स. If there's a question on economics, maybe some data and statistics if we can quote, it only substantiate our answers. Geography का है तो maps and diagrams if we can maybe draw. History है तो give relevant examples. Environment है तो maybe international conventions, है ना, या जैसे इन्होंने Glasgow में अपना commitments बताए. Yes, so such things can be, of course, subject-wise relevant topics can be pointed out. Yes. Now, what does a good answer entail after having discussed all this? 1 or 2 liner introduction in line with the question asked. Comprehensive coverage of the question in the body under various heads. And last, an optimistic conclusion, once again circling back to the question asked. This is very, very important. And an introduction in line with the question, then you go across the body and come back to the question in the conclusion. Okay? So the answer should complete a full circle. Generally, when I read few questions or few answers of the students, conclusion is very far-fetched. Question कहाँ पे शुरू हुआ, conclusion में कोई लग ही नहीं रहा कि conclusion उसी question का answer है. By reading the conclusion, I should be able to understand the question. है ना, conclusion पढ़ लूँ, अगर मुझे पूरा question नहीं पढ़ा, body नहीं पढ़ा, सिर्फ conclusion पढ़ के I should be in a position to guess कि what was the theme of the question asked, है ना. तो ये आप exercise कर सकते हो. Then you will ensure that the question remains in line with the conclusion remains in line with the question asked. And one easiest way to ensure that your conclusion and introduction are in line with the question asked, use the words from the question itself. And use the words here and there, and it will always give that feel. And you will also not diverge too much. You will keep up with the question that has been asked. So in fact, conclusion लिखते हुए question को एक बार देख लेना चाहिए, तो आप अपने आप अच्छा conclusion लिखोगे. Yes, what differentiates a topper's answer from that of a non-selected candidate? Is there a huge difference? No, there is not much huge difference, है ना. जो लोग मेंस लिख रहे हैं उनमें बहुत ज़्यादा huge difference नहीं होता, हल्का बहुत ही difference होता है. Because we have seen topper ऐसा नहीं है कि है ना, out of 250 the person is getting 170. or the person is even getting 150 for that matter. The topper is also getting 104 है ना, 112, 120 तो बहुत अच्छे marks हो गए. 50% is very very good marks. So there is not much difference. It is therefore the point is writing average or little above average quality answers across the 20 questions that is asked. That is important. So on an average if you get 3, 4, 5 marks, if you are in that bracket, कुछ क्वेश्चन में 3 भी मिले हैं, कुछ में 4 ही मिले हैं, लेकिन कुछ में 5 या 5.5 भी मिल गए, तो you will average out to 40-45%, है ना, which is a decent score that you require in your GS papers. All this needs, अच्छा, one more thing that we need to be careful, that all this exercise that we have discussed needs to be done within those 3 hours. That means 7 to 8 minutes per question. And the reality of writing 2 papers in a day. So what I am trying to point out that it requires a writing stamina and a non-stop writing, thinking, writing, and ability to recapitulate. याद भी आते रहना चाहिए और लिख भी रहे हो, सोच भी रहे हो, तो ये this will come through practice. Because otherwise क्या होगा, हाथ दुखने लग गया बीच एग्जाम में, या one paper you have written, you were in that, but in the break you find that the wrist has got more or less paralyzed. It is not moving now, है ना, या एक दिन पेपर लिख दिया, दूसरे दिन शाम का पेपर में hand has stopped moving. Yes, because back to back भी तो papers हैं. So the fact of the matter is what you require is practice. So start right now with answer writing, है ना, but eventually the aim when you are going for the exam, your ultimate mocks have to be, है ना, one entire paper in a day and then 2 papers in a day in those exam slots. Yes, and once you get used to that, writing 2 papers in a day and maybe back to back on 2 days, and then you are actually, and you get into that habit. So basically, even when you are studying, this stamina will not be built in a day. Even when you are reading, making notes, or studying, have this habit of writing, having a pen and paper always. It makes things percolate, conceptual clarity, है ना, interlinkages सब तभी डेवलप होते हैं जब हम लिख के पढ़ते हैं. सिर्फ ऐसे पढ़ने से कुछ भी डेवलप नहीं होता है, ठीक है. और साथ में आंसर राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस करना है, दैट इज़ द पॉइंट, है ना. किसी को 100 में से 250 में से 200 नंबर नहीं आ रहे, सबको 100 ही नंबर आ रहे हैं, टॉपर को भी 100 नंबर आ रहे हैं. तो आप एग्जाम लिख दोगे आज, अगर आप जाके लिख दोगे तो मे बी यू विल गेट 60, है ना. बट इफ़ यू स्टार्ट स्टडिंग you will be able to match up. Thus answer writing practice is key. Attempting mock tests is important, and ultimately one should attempt writing 2 full papers in a day as it happens in the exam. Yes, what is the general approach to answer writing? Once again, है ना, we think first let's complete the syllabus, then let's make notes, then let's revise those notes, learn it by heart, and then we start कि आप सोचते हैं आंसर लिखने का. तो यही जब कभी ख़त्म नहीं होता तो यहाँ तक कैसे पहुँचोगे, है ना. यही चलता रहता है तो यहाँ तक तो हम कभी पहुँच ही नहीं पाते, सीधा इसलिए एग्जामिनेशन हॉल में पहुँच जाते हैं. यस, सो प्रोबेबली व्हाट शुड बी द अप्रोच एज वी लव इट इन इंडिया, जुगाड़, रिवर्स इंजीनियरिंग करना चाहिए. रिवर्स इंजीनियरिंग, स्टार्ट विथ आंसर राइटिंग. यस, देन मेक रेलेवेंट नोट्स, है ना. इससे क्या है, दिस प्रोसेस इज ओवरलैपिंग, म्यूचुअली रीइंफोर्सिंग है. इनफैक्ट जब आप पढ़ाई भी शुरू करते हो, व्हाट वी सजेस्ट, फर्स्ट यू गो थ्रू द प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस, फर्स्ट लुक इनटू द सिलेबस, देन गो थ्रू द प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस एंड देन स्टार्ट रीडिंग दैट टॉपिक. When the teacher also comes to teach you, that person would have looked at the syllabus, looked at PYQs, and then has come to teach you that topic. है ना? Because then only we are able to ascertain that what we are teaching or what we are studying is in line with UPSC's demand. Having looked at, maybe the topper's answer script, having emphasized this fact, 20 questions in 3 hours, we now understand maybe long sentences is not what we require. We need crisp points. Points on fingertips that we are able to deploy. Conceptual clarity, interlinkages, crisp points, simple चीज़ों को रखना है ना? And so that is what. तो अब मैं by chance if I am making some notes out of a newspaper article I liked or from a book, I know I need not copy that sentence because I'm never going to use that sentence. And I am going to use the idea only. Fine. And therefore the notes making is also, है ना, जो हम पढ़ रहे हैं या notes making है, If we start with, it becomes more exam relevant. The quality of notes improve. The keywords, आपको पता है मुझे keywords use करने को चाहिए, है ना? तो your notes making will also improve when you start with answer writing. And get into it. Yes, then once you have made those notes, make short notes, है ना, just to be revised before the exam. And this always, बहुत सारे reiterations होते रहते हैं, क्योंकि आप जैसे जैसे पढ़ते रहते हो आपकी समझ बढ़ती रहती है ना? You find few things redundant, you take them out, and maybe you add few interlinkages there, and that is how you cover all the topics. Yes, so probably this is the approach, because in this approach we will never reach the fourth step. We will be stuck very much here only, and this step will never see the light of the day. So let us start with what matters. And we are here to not become subject experts. We are here to clear UPSC. And what does UPSC requires? That you write answers on the D-Day. Yes, key takeaway. Kya hai? Do not wait for that day when you are ready to write answers. Yes, because that day never comes. Start today. Yes, and utility of टॉपर्स आंसर स्क्रिप्ट, समटाइम्स यू शुड ओपन अप, क्योंकि वो आपको बूस्ट देता है. डू नॉट ट्राई टू कॉपी दिस वे द टॉपर राइट्स. हमें उसे कॉपी नहीं करना, उसको हमें, है ना, वी विल राइट द वे वी विल फील कंफर्टेबल, बट वी ड्रॉ आइडियाज, वी ड्रॉ इंस्पिरेशन, है ना, कि ओके दिस क्वेश्चन कैन हैव बीन टैकल्ड दिस वे ऑल्सो. ऑल्सो वी गेट दैट बूस्ट दैट इफ ही कैन डू, और दिस इज हाउ इट इज रिटन, है ना. कोई बहुत सोफेस्टिकेटेड लैंग्वेज या बहुत सुंदर से बना के लिखा है, बहुत सुंदर डायग्राम्स, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है ना. जैसे मैं लिखता हूँ वैसे ही टॉपर भी लिख रहा है. सो वी गेट दैट बूस्ट, वी गेट अ सेंस दैट येस वी कैन ऑल्सो मेक इट, एंड इट शुड बी यूज्ड ओनली फॉर ड्रॉइंग इंस्पिरेशन एंड नॉट टू exactly replicate his or her method. Yes, so yes, go through toppers answer scripts once you are tired, you are done with your day, है ना. towards the end जब बैठे हो तो एक बार toppers answer script, और रोज खोल के देखने की कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है. when as and when needed you can do that. And I would just like to conclude this session on this note that difficulty of UPSC examination lies not necessarily in the complexity of its questions, but in their ability to test conceptual clarity and presence of mind under pressure. ऐसा नहीं है कि questions बहुत difficult है, but है ना, difficulty क्या है? To write those answers within the given period of time, along with demonstrating conceptual clarity. Without conceptual clarity, it becomes difficult to appropriately answer those questions. Fine. With that note, let us complete today's session. I hope you found the session useful. Yes, my only suggestion is start answer writing. Aap sab, whosoever is part of this session live, I can see that you are in a position where you can actually go for answer writing. And in fact, this is the prime most time. Yes, and because from December, January, February you start feeling the nerves of prelims coming in. Then you are not able to go for mains preparation. But what did this year's prelims paper tell us? Ki, it is unpredictable, little unpredictable. Second, it told us you have to go for integrated preparation. You cannot, silos में नहीं पढ़ सकते कि पहले prelims पढ़ेंगे फिर mains पढ़ेंगे, वो तो कभी हो ही नहीं सकता. Yes, so that is also important, and now is the only time where you get to study. Those 4-5 months is the time where you get to study for mains. Because after prelims, you have 2.5-3 months hardly to write the mains examination. So that is the time where you should just revise and practice answer writing. Right now, you should develop this skill of answer writing across the 4 GS, across your essay paper, and across your optionals. Yes, so use your time wisely and make the best use of it. This is what distinguishes a topper from a person who is not able to clear. Probably they just manage their time better. They are able to strategically plan. They are able to prioritize. And they probably start writing answers and do not get caught in this idea of completing the syllabus before attempting questions. Fine? Fine, that is it then. Thank you.